Stories that Connect Us. Selections from the OMA collection. Oceanside Museum of Art, OMA's collection of over 300 works of art reflects the museum's devotion to preserving the art and stories of Southern California artists. Many of the artists in this exhibition, such as James Hubel, Ethel Green, Italo Scanga, Roland Reese, and William Glenn Crooks, have had groundbreaking exhibitions at OMA, and for some their only exhibition. Works of artists such as John Baldessari, Richard Allen Morris, and Robin Bright examine the special focus OMA has on collecting prominent artists from San Diego and the important role the museum plays in the artistic growth and education for the region. OMA's collection spans over 100 years, with the earliest piece from 1923 by California Impressionist Charles Arthur Fries to the most recent piece created in 2024 by Gail Roberts. The Stories That Connect Us highlights 30 artists. This small portion of the collection reflects the legacy that OMA is building to celebrate diverse forms of self-expression and build deeper connections for our visitors. Artwork presented and collected by OMA help frame the subjective nature of art, establishing a perspective for understanding the visual stories shared by leading Southern California artists. The accompanying stories shared by artists, patrons, and friends of the museum provide invaluable context to the artwork and help decipher more complex narratives. This was curated by Daniel Derry, an independent curator and former director of exhibitions at OMA. The particular work that I will be examining today was the artwork by the most recent contributor, Gail Roberts. Her artwork is titled Crocodile Tears, and she created this in 2024. It is oil on canvas. It is an installation of several different canvases that are strategically placed and aligned together to create one vivid image that cohesively connects while still remaining separate pieces. Upon entering the exhibit, this particular piece kept calling out to me. I took my time, I walked through the gallery, and I looked at the different artworks, but that one still kept saying, "Hey, come and look at me." So I knew that had to be my focus. She aligned different varieties of flowers, each canvas focusing on details of a particular type of flower, but then also aligned them so that the petals kind of meshed and interacted with each other when the frames are near each other. Her palette throughout the entire piece ranges from golden yellow hues, pinks, deep oranges, slight magentas, with a background that has a really, really dark depth to it and almost a nebula-like texture going through the different panels. Some of the panels have maybe just a fragment of a petal, while others are entirely a whole petal. Some have dewdrops with reflections on them, lighting that enhances the edge of the petals. She uses very painterly brush strokes. And meticulously uses shadow to create a texture for each of the different types of flowers. The dark nebula background enhances the color, kind of brings a really beautiful contrast between the vibrancy of the petals and the different flowers, and makes them really stand out. I think for most of us, when we look at flowers, we can think of life, we can think of the flora and the fauna, how much our biodiversity relies on flowers and pollinators maintaining and sustaining life of our planet. There's always been an attribute of the sense of beauty attached to flowers. And a very soft, feminine aspect. In the symbolism of the intricacies of how flowers grow and how the petals rest against each other. Roberts really emphasizes the softness whilst doing this in a very large scale. Each one of the panels is about, I didn't measure it, but they're about 2 feet by 2 feet, perfect squares. This was the largest piece in the gallery, largest installation. She maintained her canvas edges rather than framing the work, which I think is a really, really wonderful way to help the artwork kind of meld into the gallery that it's existing in and showing in. It also helps to create, even though they are spaced apart about 2 inches, still creates a wonderful cohesiveness by maintaining the canvas edge. You can see this is a really large installation. We're thinking 2 by 2, and each of these is, 4 by 4 sides. Easily, this is about 8 by 8 feet. It's a pretty big piece. When you step away from the panels, you can see how they collectively create this amalgamation of a new breed of flower. And that's something that, our scientists and ecological experts have played with, and farming has played with, how different species can be cross-pollinated and create new breeds of flowers. I believe that's some of her focus in her work as well. There's really a peaceful element to the way that this very large work of art kind of brings the viewer in, and you can enjoy it both up close and from far away. And it is almost like this new breed of all of these different types of flowers are kind of emanating from this kind of vast universe nebula. And when you think about flowers and how much they represent peace, tranquility, love, depending on the different flower, depending on the different color. You give a person a rose that is a peach color, it's a symbol of friendship. You give a person a rose that is red, it's love and romance. White lilies can represent death. The chrysanthemum is also a flower of death. But in those aspects of those flowers representing such emotional feelings and experiences, there's always that element of the flower bringing peace and, kind of a closure to an event or a beginning. And there's always this like tranquility attached to the representation that the flower holds. And when you look up close at a flower, you can see that there's so many intricate parts to it. Even a simple flower like a lily, there's still so much that has minute aspects of how the flowers exist. And there's kind of a perfection that nature holds in the way that flowers grow. It was really easy to spend time with this artwork. I think because of how it was comprised of 16 different panels, but also because of its kind of a draw to all of the different details in each of the singular panels. She really, really has a wonderful way of how she painted the varying, not all of the panels had the reflective dewdrops, water drops on the petals, but the ones that did, it really kind of like brought you in closer, to analyze that singular panel. It was also nice the gallery did a wonderful job positioning a bench that was centered perfectly with that painting, and it was easy to sit and just kind of reflect on the peacefulness of the work and how all of those different panels kind of melded together, how her brushstrokes really gave some wonderful depth and a smooth kind of transition from each panel to each panel. So I'm going to close out by reading the card next to this artwork. These paintings reference everything that blooms within the boundaries of the garden surrounding my home studio. Flowers, weeds, vegetables, fruit trees, succulents, etc. I research each flower's botanical history, cultivation, and natural habitat. Some of the flowers have ancient origins with fossilized specimens dating back 80 million years. Others are hybrids from as recent as the 1970s. At a certain point, I realized that the artificial ecosystem of the garden is a microcosm of the world. While each panel depicts a detail of a different flower, they collectively form a futuristic hybrid of a single flower. Crocodile Tears explores my continued sense of wonder in the unending variations in nature's patterns, colors, and shapes. As time passes, I have an even greater sense of urgency in valuing every precious moment, knowing I am just a blip in Earth's lifetime radar. Gail Roberts.